because I usually forget. So there you go. You're good.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So we called to order at 7:32. The first order of business on the agenda is approving the minutes from our Park and Rec meeting, our Zoom meeting on May 13th. Those were attached in the email from B. If everyone's had a chance to review or can review now.
Motion to approve minutes.
Hey, one second, Ronna, I think we have to change it. I think it still says Laptop Center in the minutes, so we have to change that to be, it was a virtual meeting.
Zoom.
I didn't hear you, Steve.
We have to change the minutes to read that it was a virtual meeting, not held at the Laptop Community Center. As we change, it as a virtual meeting.
Oh, it does. You're right.
Okay.
All right.
No one said that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
We get a motion to approve those with that change.
Motion.
Okay, Francesca, then Laura.
Second, Laura did.
And third, Doug. The second item up is the Waveney Park emergency with Ariane and Caroline for approval of a proposed map in Waveney Park. So I will mute my mic and Ariane, hand it over to you and Caroline.
Hi, thank you, Ronit. So the Waveney Park, you all received the map?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and so we received a grant from the New Canaan Community Foundation to produce a more comprehensive, detailed map of Waveney Park. And we have been working with Wadia Associates, who they volunteered their services to. It was, the grant was enough for the production of the actual kiosk, but it was great to be able to not have to pay a designer quite, extensive costs. So a Wadia Associates graphic design architect and designer has been working with me to produce a more detailed map, which is kind of just research that I've been doing on looking at topographical surveys, historical Olmsted maps, just trying to come up with something a little more comprehensive, but very user-friendly. So it's been kind of a interesting learning experience. So this map is, the idea is that it would be a kiosk similar in size to the one at Irwin Park. And it would be 41.5 by 30.5 inches. Metal framed, everything, so no wood, nothing, very durable. That one had shown that it's doing very well, when subjected to all the elements. And we would like to propose this. We'd be working with this company in graphics, and if this design is approved, we would send it to them. Because of the whole situation right now, they're looking at about a 2-month production time. So hopefully we would get it sometime in August and be able to then go forward with it. At least that we know that, when fall starts, we would have this lovely map to welcome visitors. And we're proposing, open to discussion, but proposing that studying, having sat out there a lot, watching, traffic flow, everything, it seems that the pathway just to the right of the entrance to the forecourt of the house, off to the side beyond the wall, so it doesn't quite, be in the way of the house and ruin that vista, but just off to the side of the stone wall where it ends, have this very close to the pathway. People seem to travel by there a lot and have this welcome sign, welcome to Waveney, and have, all these, most of the main destinations highlighted, and the paths and the trails mainly.
Questions, comments from anyone?
No, it looks great.
I have a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Jean.
Is that the way do that a lot every week?
Can't hear Jean.
Dean, you're breaking
Hear
up.
Jean.
Can you hear
Can't
me
hear
now?
Jean.
Can you hear me now?
A little
No.
better.
Nope, not really.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, Jean, you could use the chat function if you're able to right click in the upper corner and you can write your question, which I'm happy to
All right.
comment. And I know Betty has a comment too. Betty, I'll hit you right after Jean's comment. I will say that, Ariana, I really like the fact that the buildings, you've delineated between buildings and perimeter trail and water and restrooms. So the lines are pretty helpful for someone who's new to Waveney. I think that was a really great feature to add. So there's color choices so you can zoom in on what you're looking for.
Rana,
Yes,
can I give a little background history?
please.
Okay, on the entrance to the west parking lot, which is on the west side of the house, there was a we used to have a kiosk, which was like a folding door, and I believe it was in Superstorm Sandy. A big tree came down and knocked it down, so we lost that. But when the Eagle Scout about 4 or 5 years ago did his marking of the trails, he put his new kiosk in that general area. So I just thought that would be an area where you have a lot more open space versus where you're dealing with a lot of traffic. The traffic along the road by the front of the house there, it's a lot. And I'm just worried that some little kid's parents looking at the map, some little kid's gonna wander out the street and we'll have a disaster. So I would suggest we move back towards where the existing kiosk is, put it on the other side of the trail from where the kiosk is currently located and on the house side of the trail. And you have a bigger area, there's more room to stand and stuff. That's just my suggestion for safety standpoint.
All right, great, thank you. I know that Jean's question, and Betty was just asking to see the actual map here on the screen, and we're putting that up. But Jean's question was, he doesn't see the distances, Ariane and Caroline, on the map, like the current older one, like the perimeter trail, having so many miles. Is that on there or going to be put on there?
The perimeter trail mileage?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or any
that's
of the
on there.
trails.
That's
That's
on there. Yes, that's on there. The perimeter trail, I have a big blow up.
And for the other trails also,
It's
Ariane?
1.8 miles, the perimeter trail. So for, we did, and one of our board members worked with us, he has this great app. We also did some research on this. The problem is since, because we were trying to see, could we make the smaller trails? The thing is, it's not like there are all these individual trails with names. So we had a really difficulty differentiating between, one trail or another, because they all kind of connect to each other. So we just thought, let's leave it simple. I mean, we're open if anybody has more real detail, but it was kind of difficult to just, we thought about it a lot and we just thought, let's keep it to the perimeter, but all the little trails connect off of it, and without names or, actual names associated with the trails, it was kind of difficult to make that clear to visitors. I guess you could color code it, but it was still not like, you can go, the beauty of Waveney is you can wander in so many different ways. And so it was a little tricky, but we thought at least so that people have a sense of, okay, if I'm going to do the big extensive perimeter, how much is that? Like, can I do it or can I not? Or should I take a shortcut or go halfway?
Arian,
So you're saying-
I've reeled the whole park. I have all the distances in my office. I've taken a measuring wheel, walked the whole park. I have all the distances. I know that, for instance, the new trail we put behind the Genuine Meadows, that if you take that trail around the whole meadow, it's just about 9/10 of a mile.
I believe there is a color coding, right, for some of the trails, for some of the running trails, more so. As I go around, I see some colors on the trees.
Yeah, that was
That
the Eagle Scout project.
Great. Here's the map, Betty, for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah, the Eagle Scouts did a map with the mileage and all that and the different color for the trails.
Correct.
But as Steve said, that fell down. So this,
Well, that's still there.
It's still there. It's
The markers are still there.
Delaminated. It's become delaminated over the years of the weather.
Yeah, it consists of like tape. So the tape has all been flaking off.
Knowing the length of the trails is helpful.
So would you, so you think like if we had, a like Genium, I don't know, meadow, like loop or something?
yeah, name it.
That would be
Like
great.
that we name it ourselves? and
Well,
we say like a
And
Jenny
then bounce it
Meadow
off of
loop.
us.
I don't
Yeah.
know what else we would, because I'm not sure anything is really that clear, but the Jenny Meadow loop could be one.
And I
Or,
think
well, it's also the pond. I don't know. It's not necessarily the meadow though.
and maybe just showing it a little more bolder, as Jean just commented, hard to read white writing in the lower right hand corner, so
Yeah.
so
Can't
maybe
see it at all.
making it a little
Which
bit.
one?
Let's see what that is there. He's going there now.
It's a pretty map.
It is a great map.
Yeah.
But it's largely illegible.
Well, you're seeing it on a really small scale. I wish I could be in person. And I had like the architect do a massive one, because I was also like, can I read the lettering and all? And now when I got the massive printout, I was like, oh, wow. Even my kids were first like, can we read this? So remember, this is on a big scale. This is,
Is it
I
30
have
by 40?
kind of behind me, and it's not even full scale behind me, because that's the biggest their printer could do, and it's like slightly smaller than it should be, but it's, I don't know, I can't, but it's just like, you have this, oh, it's hard to show.
That's great. No, it's
I think it's
I can't show it, but it's just, when I saw it printed out, I was like, oh, you're right, because I had this discussion with the architect, and we've all been working remotely and not as closely as we probably would have been on this. But it's much better when it's really blown up. It's when it's tiny. I mean, you basically have to take one section and just blow it up full screen, one tiny corner, and it'll give you a sense of it. So I had the same reservations, and it looks a lot better. You just have to blow up each section, really. Yeah. Each section will be even. Actually, yeah.
honestly, it's a beautiful
Ron,
map.
I have another suggestion.
It's
Nowhere
tricky,
in this map-
it's so hard, because it's also, we wanted to get something really detailed. It's this, between detail and do you make it more generic and really, really clear, but I think in the end, for all of us, us all, I think I learned a lot about this park, and, just, looking at where trees have been taken down, or it's hard. And I'm sure there's still things, this could probably go on for a long time. And it's tricky, but I mean, the main thing is, if you all feel like, just that we all make sure that we are making sure that visitors get what they need. And if there's anything we need to add to it, just let me know. I can continue to fiddle with it.
maybe Laura,
How about where,
then Steve, and then Steve Haberstraw. So Laura, Steve Benko, and Steve Haberstraw. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, it's an incredible map. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, coming from the real estate perspective of the town, if there's any way to get a hard copy of this, I mean, we're getting so much interest in our town right now, and literally Waveney Park is selling our town for open space. And this is just gorgeous, I have to say.
I think. Sorry.
Go ahead, Steve.
No,
Benko.
good. Laura, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, that was basically it. I would love to get a hard copy of this, because it's a really awesome map.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could have like flyers too made of it, or something that if anybody wants to, pass it around, we could maybe look into that too.
Yeah.
And put it on the town website.
I mean,
Totally.
it's a great,
Definitely put it everywhere. We'll put it on the Waveney Park Conservancy website, because we have an older design plan map, but it would be nice to we'll definitely put this one up.
One comment, nowhere's on the map, it says, welcome to Waveney Park. There's nowhere does it say that it's a town park. It does not say Town of New Canaan, welcome to Waveney Park. I mean, it's a town park, and there's nowhere it says Town of New Canaan in that thing, other than a little bit of mention that the Conservancy worked in conjunction with the town. But it should say it's Town of New Canaan, it's a town park.
I agree.
Okay.
And Steve Haberstraw, you had a couple of suggestions. I see them in the chat, but do you want to mention them?
Sure, I was just saying, if we're, hi everybody, if we're struggling with naming certain loops or part of the trails, that if using Steve Banko's measuring that he's done, if we can come up with something close to a half-mile loop and something close to a 1 mile loop, and then just color code it as the half-mile loop or 1 mile loop, then
Okay.
people can decide how many loops they want to do and just have it, you know, if it's 0.54 miles, then fine. But just a thought.
Okay, yeah, Steve, if you have that, like a half mile, that would be great. If you
Right.
can
I get it.
like
I get it.
delineate that on the map for me and I can add it, color code it, totally easy to
I'll
do.
send it
I
to you.
would
I'll
just
send it all to
love
you.
that, yeah, that information from you.
Yeah,
That
and
would
for
be
the
great.
record, I'd probably be like a 1/4 mile loop kind of guy. So you could kind of name that the Haberstro loop. That'd be fine with me.
Where's the walking loop? I need the walking loop.
That's great. And I know Jack Hawkins is on now. Jack, you had a comment. Do you want to unmute and go ahead and add yours? That's a good one.
I believe I'm unmuted.
You are.
Good, good. All right, yeah, so one thing is, I know when we first went there to go sledding down the hill, we weren't really sure which hill it was. And you might have people visiting to go there. Of course, I know where it's at now. But is there any way to, I don't know, mark that somehow? And then the second
The
thing.
sledding hill?
Exactly, exactly. And then the second thing is I agree I mean, I use these trails for training whenever for the military and all that. And having a known distance is important so that, you know, that's what I'm going to be judged against. So, so it's important. So please, you know, I encourage the markers.
Okay.
And Ariane, last comment, or not last, but my comment, someone wrote, I can't take credit, I think it was Steve Haberstraw, about maybe suggesting, or Jean, to make the writing in the bottom right-hand corner instead of white, maybe just a simple black. It doesn't have to be a bolded font, but just so you can see it much clearer.
Okay, okay,
And then I like Steve's idea of somewhere saying Town of New Canaan, Waveney Park. That's
Yeah.
it.
So are you saying make all the writing black?
In that,
No,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
only.
in the where?
Right there. See it, Caroline, on the screen?
The
Make
way
it black, try black. Okay, why don't I do that and then I'll send it to you, see how you like it.
Mhm.
I can send it to everybody and see, that's easy to, and just try, see how it, if you can
Yeah,
read
if
it
it's too
more.
bold and takes away from the trails and the perimeter of that drawing, then I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's just a suggestion, not a finite rule.
Okay, we'll try it out. We can just see what, how everybody sees it better. So Sledding Hill though, is that really official? Like, do we
Well,
call
I mean,
it
that was a suggestion.
Well, the question is, do you encourage it? So by putting it there, you're encouraging them, so I'm assuming.
Well, I thought, I didn't know that we had a position against it. I mean,
I'm just asking, you know, you could sled right into the pond.
And
right now that the pond is really open?
yeah,
I would leave that off for legal,
I
for
would,
legal
I would
purposes.
too.
okay.
okay.
Black font. Okay, the loops.
Yep, the miles.
Was there something else? I got the black font, the loops, mileage.
And if the black font requires all the other white lettering to be changed, don't do it. I don't think everyone agrees that it's something that's super important. I'm fine removing that if it's too much trouble.
Okay. Oh, and town.
I have a question. Is it possible to view it in actual size somewhere? Tell me where
Yeah.
to go.
I don't know. Ron, what do you think? Is there somewhere I can leave? It's not like as big. I've got a pretty good one. I could leave it somewhere. Is there some place where everybody can access it?
I mean, this is the
One
size
copy of
that
it?
is going to be up there.
Steve's office.
Yeah, maybe
No,
so.
Our building is
Leave
closed.
it at Waveney? Leave it
Oh.
at Waveney?
You can't, it's
Unfortunately, our
closed.
building is closed till the 22nd, and then on the 22nd, people come from 8 to 12 by appointment. But we won't open to the public till July 6th.
You know what, Ariane, you could leave it with me, and anyone that would like to see it can obviously reach out to me, and I'll send
Okay.
it to you to Waveney, and I'll get it back to you as
It's
quickly.
okay. I don't need it. I don't need it. I can leave it with you. I can get another I'll leave it with you, and whoever wants to see it can stop by your house and see.
Ariana, and the one you have though is not the actual size, right?
It's apparently, I think their printer, I think the designer said it's slightly, I'm going to measure it again. I think he said it might be slightly smaller than what, but pretty close, pretty
Oh,
close.
okay.
So at least, I hadn't seen it either until this week because he had printed an old one. We went through many various incarnations of this for months and had to really work through it. And I wasn't, happy. So I didn't really pay attention. And now I just got, finally the more final one. And it makes a difference. I agree. I think it's nice for everybody to see it if you can. And then just give feedback and what might not show up as well or anything else you notice. Sometimes when it's larger, you notice more details. So yeah, I mean, we're trying to make this, as good a product as possible. I'm grateful to everybody, Steve, everybody, Tiger, John, everybody who gave great feedback on this, our own board. So it's been a great, work in progress. And, I'm all about the more, feedback we get, the more this is a better product. So I'm all for, making sure it's done right. So anything you see, and sometimes when you see it larger up, you do notice more, you might notice more. And you all know this park very well, probably much better than I do. So, you might notice some other details.
I just want to say, Ariane, thank you so much. I mean, honestly, I hate to sound overzealous, but it really is a beautiful, beautiful map. And I think that a lot of people are going to like this, and it's a great product. And right now, given the time we're in, where open space has become more, popular than ever, I think people are going to be really excited to see this, and especially in New Canaan. So,
I have two. Oh, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. I have two questions, if you don't mind. It is obvious. Add my voice to the fact that it's a beautiful, beautiful map. How will this map withstand the elements? In other words, is this map going to look really beautiful in 5 years, or what happens to a map that's outside?
Yeah, so I've been I went by again recently, the Irwin Park map by the same designer. It's all, metal frame, everything. It looks perfect, nothing. It's, completely designed to withstand all the elements. And that one, Caroline, when was the Irwin Park has been there for a while, right? Years or something?
3 years probably.
3 years. And it looks, I went by there this week just to double check again. What's the condition of it in case I need to discuss with the, the design, the actual kiosk designers and production, and it looks, I wouldn't change anything. It's really solid. I mean, I don't see any nicks, nothing. Nothing has been, because we've been seeing at Waveney, we've been hearing that our new benches have been kind of, like things have been happening to that. But this sign, looks perfect, looks good, just good as new. So I'm really confident that this will be a solid, like a sign, a kiosk that will withstand the elements for a while. So.
Listen, thank you. That's very helpful. Just one other question, if you don't mind, and I don't mean to add expense to this. We've been talking in terms of having just one kiosk. There's 2 entrances to the park, and should we be thinking about having a kiosk in another location, or is this one location really just enough?
I actually feel, it's up to all of you. I actually think, ideally, it would be great, looking at the parks that I've studied, and I'm sure you have too. You've probably looked at many, I spent a lot of time at a place like Olana, also on the national, and it's just, it's wonderful to come across little signs, that fit in with the landscape, everything, not too obtrusive, but that tell you something about that one section of the park. It would be lovely if one could have, more of them around the park. Eventually, it would be a really great, trail to have, because there is so much history at Waveney. It would be great to have a little historical, sign somewhere. You see those, I've seen those in a lot of towns. or in parks, and just something, you know, a timeline of Waveney, which I've already done, which could always be used, where it just shows the whole history of the place. So if
That
any,
would
and
be
with
great.
old photographs, it's easy to, you know, to do that. And that's something that I, you know, love to discuss with every, you know, if you all agree with it and you feel, okay, there can be a little more signage. I think it's really nice when you wander around town and all of a sudden you hear, you know, by the walled garden or something, the history of that, or, you know, our fountain, which is by a great, you know, one of the most important, you know, female sculptors of the 20th century, bronze sculptors. And so, you know, there's a lot of history there, which could be shared. And it's kind of nice when you stop and look at something and have a sign, if it's done very tastefully and, you know, not interfering with too much. But so, I mean, it's up for discussion, but I think, you know, it's not, these are not huge expenses, you know, these kind of signs. So I think one could easily plan a more thorough, you know, design around it and just think about it if that's of interest to everybody. But it would be nice, I think, to have more.
And your timeline, Ariana and Caroline, what is your timeline? What are you hoping to have approval this evening?
Well, just because of Ingraphics telling us that it's, you know, they said, look, the sooner you get this to us, but at the same time, you know, we want it done right. So I'll try and turn around, you know, and Steve, if you can help me with the mileage loops, the rest, the town, you know, acknowledging the town, you know, we can talk about how best you want the town. Do you want the logo? What do you want? But, you know, all that can be turned around pretty quickly. As long as I've got all the info, I can turn this around really quickly. And, you know, the sooner we can get it into production, it would be great. But all these other comments, we can work on this probably in a week and get, you know, if I can get feedback from this whole, all of you and the committee, then I don't know how best to move it forward. Unless we have to wait till July, but it would be a pity. But I don't know. How do we
Well,
do
to
that?
see the final version, we probably wouldn't be able to do it till July unless we all stop by Rana, your place.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I know that some of us might be comfortable approving it now. I think these are minor changes, but ensuring that they get in there. I mean, we could potentially do a motion for the map to be approved with the 3 changes discussed, that the town of Waveney, you know, logo would be approved by Steve. He would know the logo of the town, and that the font be tried in a dark versus light. And if it's tried in whichever way it goes, I think good. And putting the distances on the mileage. Let me get feedback from the rest of the commission. How does everyone feel about that, Francesca?
I just have one question, and don't kill me for it. Why was it chosen to be in profile mode instead of horizontal? Why is it this way instead of this way?
That's a really good question. Really good question. That was actually my, I originally wanted it horizontal. And when I talked to Wadia and the designer from Wadia Slava, I felt horizontal, but because of the way Waveney is, you know, I mean, I could try it out.
But which way are we facing? I mean, is it because north is up and west is?
Because of, so other maps actually aren't, I felt that because you're as a visitor, you'll be standing in front of Waveney House. So you have to see it this way. Originally, it was all reversed because usually you do north is up at top.
Exactly.
And this is like reverse. But I said, but if you're standing in front of Waveney, so we had this long session, I said, it won't make sense to you. And I've done this with other maps. We had one and I got critique from we had a flyer that I worked on for the Conservancy with our plans and designs, and it was north. And people said, I'm disoriented. This is not how I see Waveney. So, but because you're standing in front of the house, we kind of changed it around a little bit because I felt like you have to be standing there and you're looking this way. So that's why, and just the designer in the end said, look, because of the shape of the park, it's better. I feel this works better, you know.
But
And he
it's
tried
longer
the
than
horizontal version and it was a little bit like off, like it didn't seem as accurate, seemed a little distorted. So
it's longer in one direction than it is wide. And so I would think turning it on its side, especially since we're not in this direction, because north is up and south is down, we're in this direction. I still don't quite understand why. I think I could find myself just as easily if it was sideways. And it's easier to look at one of those guide maps in a park when it's before you, like a picture frame, instead of, you know, looking way up there.
Although it's longer north-south than it is east-west, and this orientation allows it to be longer, you know, on the.
Just sort of
That's what I just said. That's
Okay.
right, Jack. But
Okay.
I think it would be better and easier to look at if it was if east and west were top and bottom.
Yeah.
This is how we appear on a map, though. You know, north-south wise.
This isn't how we appear on a map. No, this is how we appear on a map.
Yeah.
Upside down from how she's got it. So that doesn't have weight either.
Yeah, personally, I prefer this way. I mean, of course, we haven't seen it laid out the other way yet.
I think I have an earlier version of the opposite way. I should look in case one of the, like a few months ago, I could send it to you. It didn't work for me. And I just felt that, and I got some feedback, negative feedback initially too so I can send it to you if you'd like. I think I have it still, the old, where north is on top.
No, not north on top. You're misunderstanding.
You just want horizontal.
Horizontal.
I want
horizontal.
East on top.
Yeah.
East on top, west on the bottom, and east on top. And that makes sense anyway, going for the way 95 goes, you know? It doesn't really go north-south, it goes east-west.
I actually think, I mean, Fran, you know I love you, but I think that, like, it depends on how everybody orients themselves.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm a north on top kind of girl. So I think it depends on how you kind of.
But Laura, if you're a north on top kind of girl, you're looking at it upside down. I don't get what you're saying.
No, because if I was looking at a map of Connecticut in general or Fairfield County, that would be my perspective.
Interesting.
North on the bottom?
No, north on top.
Well, she's presented it to us with north on the bottom.
Yeah. I know.
Do you get that?
Oh, all right. I missed
So
that.
she turns the map around.
I think north on top's the way to go, because that's how everyone's going to perceive it from an outsider point of view.
But if you're standing in front of, so if we have it this way and you're standing in front of this map and it says here you are and you're looking up at Waveney House, it's actually, it feels like it's behind you. Do you see what I'm saying? The perception is
exactly. You're not orientating.
Do you understand? The orientation is you're standing here going, oh, you're here. You see where you are here.
Yeah.
And Waveney House is back there, but it's not. It's in front of you. Do you see? It's a little different than just cartography, you know, objective cartography. This is a visitor's map. Where are you? And you're standing here, and what's in front of you? What's to the left? What's to the right? Because it's about your position at that moment. It's not about this objective aerial map. It is an aerial map, but it's different when you're standing in front of it. So that was what I was trying to deal with, was just like you're standing in front of this. And where are you in? So,
and that's what you would do with a hiking map, is you would turn the map around to orientate it towards the direction that you're facing.
Right.
Yeah,
I
in this
would
fashion,
if
you would
it
turn
were-
your back from the house to look the other way in order to orient yourself, and then you're not looking at the map anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd be confused if it was, which originally I had it, this was like the original kind of design. I was working with just this, all these different maps and putting, and I was like, I don't, but I'm standing there and I'm not seeing it. I'm confused.
And I apologize because we're not allowed to blow it up on, at least I'm not on my Zoom here.
Oh,
I'm not allowed to blow up my screen,
okay,
my screen view here. So I'm having a hard time.
okay. Yeah.
I think we're just getting like the flat
Can
view.
we blow that up or I don't know, whatever.
Rhonda could blow it up. But
Rhonda
the other thought is too is that if you change the kiosk location, you keep the orientation this way for the view in front of Waveney House, so that you would then be able to look straight ahead and see Waveney House. And if you put a second kiosk in, say at the entrance to Waveney, at the trail juncture there, then at that point in time you would change it to a horizontal view, because
Totally.
Waveney itself would be
Absolutely.
spreading itself.
Exactly. Wherever you are, you're going to change. It's going to be a different map.
Tell me the measurements of this final map.
It's 41.5 by 30.5.
Okay, so it's close to 3 feet by not quite 4 feet, right?
It's about 3 by 3.5.
Yeah.
3 by 3.5. This is look like it would only be 3 by 3.5. It looks more like 3 by 4, but all I'm saying is, you know, little kids, this is where we are. You have to pick them up to look at it. It's doesn't make sense to me.
It's pretty low to the ground.
Okay.
The actual image. If you go by if you have a chance, go by Irwin Park. Now that's a horizontal one, but you see how low it is, and it's pretty low. It's
I
really
know that
low,
one.
you know, and I'm
I
going
think it looks great.
to now something I absolutely want to address with the production team. You know, is that this is really, you can read that on top.
Your voice is going in and out. Is
You're
it for
breaking up.
everybody else? Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sign pretty low to the ground, very low to the ground. Actually, you can really point your finger at everything and touch it.
I don't know if you saw the one comment, Ariane, but maybe it was, it's Steve Heverstraw again. It said maybe as a flyer or a handout, the north would be on top, but as the kiosk, it would be whatever way the sign is facing.
Sure, that's easy to do. Yeah, if there's a flyer, yeah, absolutely.
Steve, is that what you would do? Did we have flyers before?
No, we did not. Well, we have some flyers in the office, yes. People pick up flyers all the time. If you have a map of Waverly, we give them a map of Waverly.
Good.
We have the mileage on the maps, so.
Okay, so as a commission, would we like to wait a month and see this and see the revised changes?
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of different changes people are recommending, so we probably have to wait.
Okay. So Ariane, if you want to get me the map
Okay.
as it is now, then those can see the larger idea. Unless you want to wait and get that same size redone or circulated first, maybe we look at the final version and then get a larger version. And we'll do it all before next month's meeting, so you're not waiting. So.
Right. Why don't I, do a couple versions for you? I mean, that's easy to add, and the town, it's just maybe a version with black font and white font for the text, so you all see
Perfect.
what you like, what's more, legible, and everything else can be added in, and then you've got it. And we can turn that around.
And Rhonda, we can print off copies and actually deliver them or have them mailed to the commissioners if you'd like.
Excellent.
Oh, great.
So if Ariana, if she sends us the versions, then we'll just print them off on our plotter in color at the size or close to the size that they would be, and then we'll have them either hand delivered or mailed.
That sounds great.
Have we decided where this will be? The original location or the location Steve proposed?
The proposed location is to the left of the existing map. So if you're standing at the very front of the
Right.
drive-up entrance, the round circle, it would be to the right of that entrance by about 6 feet, Ariane, I think, and it's right on the driving, off the driving path. It's very close to the sign where it is now. And the thought behind that was that there's so much parking, not just the 10 spots that are closest to the Waveney entrance, but the parking spot where there's 4 or 5 rows of parking. In addition, over by the soccer field, there's parking there. So we put it in the middle, similar to where the other sign was. That's the thought.
And you're close enough to Waveney, so if people want to go get a map that they can carry, they can go up to the Waveney House maybe.
Exactly.
I could put a couple stakes out, put a stake where you're proposing, and put a stake over where the other, and people, then you
That
can
would
go
be
look
great.
at it.
Then people can do a drive-by. We'll let everyone know when that's up.
Great.
Anything else? Looking for hands waving. Nope. Thank you so much, Ariane. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Your change there.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Bye-bye.
All right, I know there are a few other people on for public comment, and before the chairman's report, if you want to give yourself give me a wave or turn on your video and give yourself just a quick introduction and 2 minutes per public comment. So if there's anybody who would like to speak at this time, I'll give you a couple seconds to turn this screen unmuted. Oh, great. Betty, I see that your hand is up. Thank you. Let me unmute you. I think you might have to do it, Betty. Let me know when you're unmuted.
She's
Does that work?
unmuted.
Can you help me?
Yep,
Thank
we
you
can
so
hear
much.
you.
I'll put the timer
What?
on. If you want to quickly introduce yourself, Betty, I'll put the timer on for 2 minutes.
Oh, hi. Betty Labonte. My husband published a letter. It got printed in the meeting. And I just wanted to-
Betty,
What?
talk this way. When you put your face the other way, we can't hear you.
I'm trying to read something.
Oh, can you pick it up to read or no? Sorry.
I'm going to read it. In today's website, I noticed Kiwanis Park and the beach will be used exclusively by the Y campers. It's going to be used only by residents on the weekends and restricted to the Y campers during the week. The town of New Canaan received Kiwanis Park as a gift for the park and recreation purposes of its residents only. And so I question why we're limiting the park when the past couple of decades, we've split the park in half, and half went to the camp, the YMCA camp, and the other half went to the non-YMCA residents. According to our town records, we had 8,145 non-Y campers at Kiwanis Beach in 2019 and 7,984 in 2017 and 6,674 in 2018. So I would like to use the beach 7 days a week like I have for the past 22 years. And that's one of the concerns that I have and I want to raise. I think the park is a town park and it should be used by the residents. And the YMCA actually is just, a secondary camp here. We have other camps that the town is using, and we should have priority and more use of this park. This was a park gifted for us meaning the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. I'll take that under advisement and also speak to First Selectman Kevin Moynihan.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm happy to pass that on to him and get some comments.
Could I make one more comment? Because I think I'm within my 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to get a copy of this lease agreement between the First Selectman and the YMCA. And I can't seem to get it anywhere. I went through, if I could mention, Tom Stadler, and no one seems to have a copy of this. So I'm wondering if this commission has a copy of this lease agreement where these details are made, and how it was made, who were the people involved in this decision making. What was the Park and Rec Commission involved? Was the department, our Park and Rec department involved? Who made these decisions?
I'm happy to convey your request to First Selectman Moynihan. I do not have the agreement. The commission does not have the agreement. That's something that'll be signed by the First Selectman. So I'll pass along your sentiment, Betty.
Thank you so much.
And I'll get back to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Currently still in draft form, so that's probably one of the reasons why it hasn't been circulated yet. But we can certainly get you a copy once it's finalized.
Great. Perfect. That was Tiger Man, Betty, by the way. Thank you. She's muted. Thank you so much, Tiger. Any other public comments? Okay, great. Thank you so much. For the chairman's report, I just wanted to bring up, I know we've had several of these meetings, looking forward to being in person. Hopefully our next meeting, if not the one after that, we'll be covering in the next meetings an update on the Waveney Pool, an update on the tennis update, and following up with Betty's request, we'll also give an update on Kiwanis Park. So thank you so much for that, Betty. And Rec Director's report.
Good evening. It's been an interesting month. Stuff say. Couple things. We received the state DECD plan for the second phase of reopening Connecticut. It was released about 11:30 on Saturday night, and it contained all kinds of information from restaurants, hotels, amusement parks to sports and park and recreation. In fact, the portion that refers to recreation was or activities was sports clubs, complex gyms, fitness and pools was 18 pages long. So a lot of different rules and regulations. But what's been going on? We had the tennis courts at the high school. We opened them up. We put them on New Canaan tennis bookings, and we've had an attendant on duty for pretty much the month of May. We've had a huge turnout to play tennis at the high school. I mean, people just flocked to it. We have almost 380 people signed up to play. A typical day has 77 court hours. This past Sunday, I think there were 72 out of 77 court hours booked. I think Saturday is pretty much the same thing. So it's been well received. You can make a reservation. You can have an attendant on duty. The attendant's been monitoring things, signing people courts. We've been following the USTA protocol. At the start, the USTA recommended playing only singles, and if you want to play doubles, you play with a family member. About 10 days ago, the USTA came out with a revision after speaking with their doctors and whatever. And they said, okay, now you can play doubles with someone who's not a family member. So that was pretty good. But the high school tennis courts have been very, very, very popular. The Mead Park tennis courts, John and Tiger will probably concur, been a little frustrating. But what happened was, as the COVID epidemic hit in late March, early April, a lot of clubs and organizations decided they were going to hold off on doing their courts. So the contractor laid a lot of their people off, and they all went on unemployment, and a lot of them stayed away. They didn't want to come back to work. So he had a hard time rehiring his crews and bringing new people on and training them to do the work. So they've been in, the court's been done, and I know we're about 3 weeks late, but we will have the courts open for play this coming Saturday. The pool, we got the news last Saturday that, okay, June 17th is the opening for the pool. There are a lot of restrictions, and all the clubs have the same restrictions, but we can open our pool next Wednesday, the 17th. We can open it at 50% of capacity. So we have since we have a Olympic-sized pool, when we got our license 19 years ago, we were licensed for 496 swimmers. So we can have 246 or 248 swimmers in the pool at one time. We have to practice social distancing. We do not allow people to sit on the decks So the concrete decks will be clear. They're free. We can comply with the movement things. All of our clients sit on the lawn. We have about 11,500 square feet of lawn area. So we could seat about 320 people on the lawns comfortably. We probably get a few more, but that just did a general average of 320 people. So at any one time, we're allowed to have 320 people inside the complex and no more than 240 people in the water. And the kiddie pool can have 40 people inside the kiddie pool area. That's in addition to the main pool. So we're all excited. We have our lifeguard staff set up. We have our meetings tomorrow and Friday, and we are finishing up our preparation for the pool. We have to put signage up. We have to put cones around the lifeguard chairs to keep people 6 feet away from the chairs. We have to delineate an entrance and an exit. We have to put signage up and tell people that when you come to the pool, you must come dressed and ready to swim. The locker rooms will be available for bathrooms only. We will not have shower facilities or changing facilities. So if you come to the pool, you come dressed and ready to swim, and then you leave. We also have to practice 6-foot social distancing, both in the water and out of the water. And all the patrons who are over the age of 3, who are in the pool area and out of the water must wear a mask. They recommend you don't wear a mask in the water. So if you're out of the water, they suggest you wear a mask wherever you're on the pool deck or on the grass. So that's for the pool. So we're
It's the new normal.
Go ahead.
New normal. Thank you, Steve.
We also got some new regulations from the State Department of Health that released at 5:30 tonight. They kind of mirror the DECD, but we'll comply with those. Our Waveney Day Camp, we used to have 90 campers. The state EOC is in charge of licensing camps. They came with a regulation. It's one of the reasons why the Y was given more room at Kiwanis. They're saying that you could have, if you could apply for a waiver for more than 30 kids, but your campus have to be divided into groups of 10. And those kids are in one separate group. So they have to have their own counselors, their own specialists. They are separated from the rest of the camp. They can't go play kickball against, the Lions can't play kickball against the Bears. It's got to be the Lions in their group, the Bears in their group. The Lions can go swimming as a group, but you can't interact with the groups. And so that's done in case somebody gets sick in a group, a counselor or a camper, then that group is taken out of camp and that area is clean. So that's why the Y, it says, needs more area and more space in the park, because you got to separate your campers. We have to do the same thing. That's why we're at 30 kids. We're not busing our kids to Kiwanis this year because it would require 2 buses for 30 kids, and that'd be like over $6,000. So we're not doing that. We're going to run our camp 6 one-week sessions, which is a lot different than normal. We used to have our camps 3 2-week sessions. So we'll have 6 one-week sessions with 30 campers in a session. They'll come to Waveney House. They'll be put 3 areas outside. If we get in color weather, they'll come inside. They'll be in 1 room, 2 rooms, or 3 rooms. I think the Y camp for Rains have to cancel because with the rules they gave us is that the high school gym, you could probably put 100 kids in. The high school gym counts as 1 room. You're allowed 10 children. So the Y is not going to be able to use the high school gym or the gyms. The same thing with the sports council games. That's why they're doing their basketball court outside, because you can only have 10 kids in the gym. So it's kind of a crazy rule, but we have to follow all these rules. Starting next week, we'll be able to open the fields up for athletics, and John and Jay and I are working on some different things, but we'll be able to start them in softball league hopefully the week of the 22nd, get them open. Youth sports camps for the sports council. All sports booster club can start after that too as well. There's a lot of different rules. There's 3 pages. For instance, baseball fields. John and Tiger and I were talking. We're probably gonna have to remove all the player benches because you need to have 6 feet of social distancing. What the rule says, you must disinfect every player bench after every practice or after every game. The same thing goes to the bleachers. They say you must practice 6 foot distancing to the bleachers. Our bleachers, like at Mead Park for a baseball field, they're 5 rows. So you get 8 people in the whole bleacher section. And you'd have to disinfect the whole bleacher section after a game or after practice. So it looks like those bleachers might get blocked off with some plastic athletic field fencing. And we'll have to put signs up saying bleachers closed due to COVID rules. But so there's a lot of things that are interesting. There's time difference with practices. If you have a team practicing, then you must allow 15 minutes before the next team comes on. If you have two fields going, you got to allow like a half hour between practice, half between games. So both games will go at the same time. They don't want people congregating in parking lots and things. So it's gonna be interesting to see how everything works, how put all these moving pieces together. But
Steve, are they having swim team at all, or is that not?
we will have a swim team at Waveney. It's going to be we had a meeting on Monday night with the Fairfield County Swim League. They will not have water polo this year because it's considered a high risk sport for as far as spreading the COVID virus. But we have a swim team, and any swim meets will be virtual meets. They're going to use a program called Swimmingly. So you will swim your own meet at your own pool, your own team. You can do it over a couple of days, and you submit your times via computer to the Swimmingly thing, and they'll match it up with the other team and give you a score for the matches. They're not going to have official meets this year because of this rule, but it sounds like an interesting program, and they're looking to have it in the future. We had hoped to have some summer concerts because of the numbers. We had to cancel our June and July concerts. I'm hoping if phase 3, if everything goes well, we can have phase 3 at the end of July, that they'll relax a little bit the numbers for groups, and possibly we can have a couple concerts. We're also looking at possibility of a couple drive-in movies instead of the concerts in July and early August. And we talked to a company. They have a screen. They had the ability to put the audio over an FM transmitter, and they recommend a max of 250 cars. So we're looking at it. It's a little pricey because it's about $1,900 just for the screen and the audio. And then when you rent the movie could run you between $700 to $900. And then you got to figure police officers, and if you have the bathrooms, you got to put bathroom people to clean the bathroom. So it could be $3,500 probably to run a concert, run it when they drive the movie. So we're looking at that as a possibility. But the office has been busy today. We went online for passes with the pool, and I'm going to tell you that V and Debbie did a phenomenal job in the office. It was absolute chaos because people didn't have their username, didn't have their passwords. The phone rang nonstop. I looked at the phone thing. Sometimes there were 5 calls lined up. But anyway, today we sold 229 family passes, 21 individual passes, 15 Yanny passes, and 20 senior passes online. So the girls, God bless, they did a great job today. They took a lot of grief, and for what they went through. I answered a lot of phone calls, and it was pretty incredible what these girls did. So we got to give B and Debbie a big round of applause for their work today. We also sold tennis passes, and so like I said, tennis courts at Bee Park will open up on Saturday. So a lot of people are excited to get on the courts down there. Hopefully, I think with the interest in tennis drawn up at the high school, I think that hopefully our tennis passes at Bee Park will increase this year. We'll have increased play at the park. So we're looking forward to that. But everybody's working hard, and Bill's been busy planning camps, and as you know, we had planned our camps. We sold out 6 sessions of camp, and then we were informed that our camps had to be canceled. And then Monday morning there was a conference, and we met, and they got reinstated. So that's great. So we're going to do programming. It's a new world, and we've got to invent it. And I kind of came up with a slogan that we have to recreate how we recreate. So we're going to be that way for the next 6 to 10 months before that goes. But I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Carl has a question, and so does Steve Haberstraw. Carl first, then Steve Haberstraw.
And then Francesca.
Given that we're at 50% of capacity for the swimming pool, are we limiting the number of passes that are available this year?
No, what we're going to do is we're not going to offer non-resident passes this year. I think we could easily handle the resident passes very well. I think our busiest day last summer, we had 940 swimmers at the pool, and that was between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. So it's over an 8-hour period. I think your busiest time, you might have 300 people at the pool. So people come and go. The pool is the kind of place you don't come and spend the whole day there. You come there for an hour or two and you leave. So I think we'll be okay. We're gonna. There were some towns are doing reservations for the pool. I hesitate to do that. So we'll start out with no reservations, see how we go, and we'll work on that.
Do we have somebody on the door clicking people in and out? How do we keep
We have a
the
cleaning
numbers?
coming. We have cleaning coming in 4 times a day. They'll come in 4 times during the day and weekdays. They'll come in 4 times on a weekend. Some of our lifeguard staff has got to wipe down all the rails on the ladders. and the rails going into the pool on an hourly basis, and we have to wipe down any countertops or any place where people touch surfaces and stuff.
No, my question was on numbers. How do we keep control of the numbers during the day?
My gate attendant can do that.
Okay.
Steve Haberstraw and then Francesca.
Sure. Thanks for the update. So you don't anticipate there being the case of turning someone away from the pool? And second question is, given 6-foot social distancing inside of the pool, is it up to the lifeguards to kind of communicate and have people stay away from each other, especially kids? And then I have another question after that. Sorry.
Yeah, the pool will be fine. I think we'll count people in, and we have to have somebody wait until somebody leaves, and then they go in. We'll do that. The lifeguards, according to the CD, the regulations given by the State Health Department and by the DECD, I will have to have a deck guard, and the deck guard will walk around and say, guys, keep 6 feet apart. The guards in the chair are supposed to watch the waterfront, not direct people. So we'll have guards up in the chairs, and we'll have to have a deck guard walk around the deck and say, hey guys, spread out, please keep, you can't be bunched up. So the one thing that's crazy about it is it says if you're a family member, if you're a family, so it's a mom and dad, 3 little kids, you can all huddle in the middle of the pool, and it doesn't count for 6-foot distancing. So that's going to be challenging.
Yeah, that was kind of one of my questions. Can I hold my son in the pool?
Sure.
Second question. So camp sold out, you canceled, then you reopened. How are we handling people with signups? And that's town residents only, correct?
Correct, it is. Bill, we had people sign up when we opened registration back in February. So we had to go through and give them all a chance to get into camp. We gave them all a chance to go to at least 2 sessions of camp. We did a lot of refunds. But I think we got 30 people in the Waveney camp and 10 people at the Kidsville camp. And I think we did a pretty good job of trying to make it fair so people got a chance to get some camp time. And, when we had our discussion with the first selectman, the director of health, I said, a lot of the parents have been cooped up for the last 3 months, and they just need some time. It's mom working home or dad getting to work at home, have the kids go to camp someplace so they can either work on a computer for 3 hours or mom could just have some me time, get some mental health time. So I said, it's important that we have the camp. And I think they realized that we could safely run our camp. We had Bill put together a great program, and they bought into it. It's good.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about tennis. What was the cost last year per person?
It was $120.
Price?
We reduced
It was 120. And what is it for that same person this year? I can't hear you.
It's $100.
So it's $20 less, even though
$25 less.
or 2 have been cut off.
1 month. We lost 3 weeks. We normally open by the 15th of May. We lost 3 weeks. And it's a great deal. It's a good bargain. I mean, for playing hard true courts, that's a great deal.
And what sort of precautions are being taken for next year so that the Mead Park courts can be ready on time? It's just that this keeps happening every year, and all the parks, or not parks, the country club and the lake club, they've all been playing tennis for 2 months already, and they have hard true courts.
The COVID virus affected the contract. Tiger and John can probably speak to that, but
Yeah.
the pandemic affected the ability of the contractor to get crews out to do the work.
Okay, but it didn't have a problem for the clubs. I'm just wondering why we're the only ones who seem to be suffering. Anyway,
We're not the only one.
Attention needs to be paid to that.
We're not the only ones suffering. There's a lot of places that are still not open to this date. We're not the last people on their list. We went out to bid a few years ago, and when we did, we went with the low bidder. They were great the first year, and then the second year they were awful, and they went out of business. It basically probably shifted where we are in Putnam's schedule by being gone for 2 years from them. They opened a lot of single clubs. They had a tremendous problem with employees this year because how much money people could make by staying at home on unemployment.
Okay.
We've debated different ways to try to either put in a bonus for opening our courts earlier versus a penalty for opening them up late. There are contractual problems on both sides. We've debated this situation probably, I don't know, 5 years or more, John, at least.
More than that, yes.
Right. And I was going to say 5 to 10, but it might be slightly late, yeah, but John's right. The fact of the matter was that Putnam, they had some weather problems, and then the bigger problem that they had was strictly employment based upon the coronavirus itself, and the fact that their staff, half of their staff, was able to make more money on unemployment than they were coming to work. So
okay, that's fine. It's just I understand that there are reasons, but when you see that all the courts around us are open, the ones that are true around us, the ones that are our neighbors, the Lake Club, the Fields Club, all of them are open and they have true courts. And I've driven down to Rowayton and Roten Point, and those are also ready. It's just something that we really need to think about, because we should be on the schedule too. And then my other question was about the rules, the COVID rules for playing tennis. We had a meeting today about ladies playing, and they were saying, if you're going to play doubles, everybody has to bring their own can of balls, because you can only touch your balls. And I mean, give me a break. Is there a written rules that you can give out to us, Steve?
The USTA, we were following the USTA recommendations, and they came out and they said it's not shown that the tennis balls could carry the virus. So they're recommending that if somebody brings a can of balls with red dots, somebody brings a can of ball with black dots, and you're playing just, they're saying wash your hands or use hand sanitizer to get done. I mean, that's we're just following their recommendations. You go on the website of USTA, they have their recommendations, and they're saying use 4 to 6 balls for the court. That's what they're looking at. So we're following their guidelines. That's all we can do.
Sorry, Hank, you have your hand up.
Yes, Steve, for the Waveney Pool, is it absolutely necessary to eliminate the entire lottery? Is there any way that we could save part of the lottery at least?
Hank, at this point, I think we have to give preference to using the pool to our residents. As much as I'd like to offer some spots to non-residents, I think let's see where our sign-up goes. Like today, I said we sold 220 family passes today. Last year we had 670 family passes. My anticipation is that we're probably going to sell that many or more to our residents, because a lot of people are not going away. They're going to be in New Canaan. They're looking for places to go. So I think once we get to the end of June, if we see that we have some space, then we might be able to make some spots available to non-residents. But to do that prior to our residents having first choice, I think we get a lot of heat.
Okay.
I'm sorry, if I could just swing back to pickleball. Has anything happened with the hard court at Mead about pickleball?
Tiger, go ahead.
Eva, I'll answer this one. No, at present, no, it hasn't. The main reason is that the town fathers have asked us to review all capital expenditures, regardless of whether they were in prior years, prior fiscal years or upcoming fiscal years, as to whether or not we should be going forward with them, whether they're considered an emergency or not. And we're being asked to reevaluate each and every capital expenditure. So therefore, we haven't gone forward with asking for a transfer of funds to go from refurbishing the existing clay Hart-True courts to installing pickleball only. We will take that up with them shortly, but at present, given the circumstances of the virus itself, we didn't feel it was prudent to come forward.
Just about the hard court though, not all of them, just the hard court. As it exists, can that be turned into pickleball courts, as Steve suggested several times over the past couple of months, just to have it work for pickleball through the summer?
the court itself, the underlayment of the court is not, it has dead areas in it, and the asphalt is failing underneath the court. So the best measure would be to take it all out and reinstall it or reconstruct it. We would be spending
Okay.
probably good money after bad.
So I hear you say that we cannot do that. How about the high school? Can we take the end court off the high school and turn that into temporary pickleball courts until the high schoolers have to have their matches?
That's a question for Steve.
Francesca, not this time. The surfacing of court 7 is failing badly. I've gotten a price to come in and resurface the high school courts, which would probably be done the end of July, early August. The price is more than what we had budgeted because of the poor condition of the surfacing and the fact they recommend grinding all the paint off versus just spot patching it. So that's something we have to look at.
So we can't use any of the high school courts
I would not
for
do that.
temporary pickleball?
No,
Because, you know, Grace Farms is closed, so they can't go there. And you can't go indoors at the Y. So people are stuck and looking for pickleball.
I understand.
This will be the year they're stuck. It is. It's frustrating, Francesca. I know we had it out there. It was ready to go. And they're analyzing every single, with good reason, economic choice in this environment. It is frustrating. I agree. Carl, I'm sorry, you had a question.
Actually, looks like Steve's headed out, but just wondered if there were any plans to reopen the paddle courts, given that we don't have pickleball. I know that has been popular in the past to play pickleball on the paddle courts.
We can, there's some big questions about that. We can open the paddle courts as of next Wednesday. The APTA has come out with guidelines. They suggest playing singles only, which is paddle's not a single sport. They strongly recommend if you're going to play doubles, that you play with a family member only or somebody who belongs to your club. They don't recommend inter-club matches or any inter-club play. So I know there's a big group of guys there was a big summer league planned or whatever, but if you go by the ATPA guidelines of what they recommend, I don't have an attendant on duty, so I can't say if the two of the four guys playing with somebody doubles, they all have Waveney permits or Waveney. So that's the big question. But yeah, we're going to open next Wednesday, according to, and we'll post the APTA guidelines, and people have to self-police it. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. John Howe, you are up. Park Superintendent report.
Yeah, good evening. Well, we finally caught up on our mowing. After when the warmth finally came and we had all the moisture in the ground, grass went out of control. But we've caught up, and now we just have to stay there. So that's been our main focus of late. We have had some minor irrigation leaks that we've been taking care of, and we have one major one where hopefully next week we will be putting new sleeves down at Mead Park for the water to go to the Little League outfields. So it's been a challenging spring. We're moving forward. We're fully staffed except for one guy that is not in because of injury, not because of any COVID related stuff. So the guys are working hard. We're getting stuff done, and we look forward to seeing people out on the fields instead of just walking on the trails.
Any questions for John?
Awesome.
For waved hands. Thanks, John. I know for committee reports, just to mention one more time, we'll be updating tennis, Waveney, and Kiwanis next month. So we'll cover those. I'll speak to everyone regarding that. It looks like our next Park and Rec Commission meeting will include on the agenda the map to come back around for review. And date is July 8th, Wednesday at 7:30. Thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Everyone. Take care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, guys.